Hey viewers, I am DS and welcome to another episode on our channel. So this episode marks our first episode on our new mini-series on defense mechanisms. So what are defense mechanisms? So defense mechanisms are mechanisms that human beings engage in to defend their own ego. And according to psychologists, these mechanisms happen unconsciously. Now the word unconscious usually is used to describe somebody who has fainted or who has been knocked out.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
So to make it simpler, defense mechanisms are mechanisms that human beings engage without our conscious awareness.
I don't know. What's the truth, yo? Come on. I don't know.
Somebody asks you, "You like me ah?" Your first reaction might be, "Where God? No ah." Don't anyhow say. It comes naturally. And what happens is you are actually engaging in a defense mechanism. And that defense mechanism is denial.
Wasn't me.
She even caught me on camera.
Wasn't me.
So there are a lot of defense mechanisms that human beings engage in without our conscious awareness. So what we are going to do is, we are going to showcase a lot of common defense mechanisms that human beings use. So after having watched this mini-series on defense mechanisms, you may have a better understanding of yourself and of others around you, because the people around you are likely to also use defense mechanisms. Many times, we as human beings may have emotions or memories that are too painful or negative for us to acknowledge. When that happens, we may engage in defense mechanisms to protect our ego and self.
Run.
In other words, defense mechanisms make all these bad emotions and experiences more bearable. The defense mechanism that we will use to kickstart the defense mechanism mini-series is projection. When you are projecting something about yourself that you do not like to someone else, you are using projection. So in even simpler terms, projection is equivalent to saying, "It's not me, it's you." So to help the viewers understand what projection is better, I'm going to give you some real-life examples of how human beings or when human beings may use projection. The most common example of when a person may use projection is when blaming others. So it is much easier to blame others than to find inner peace with your own past. Sometimes in a class, you may find a student or a group of students who like to blame the teacher for their incompetence. So they may say that the teacher is no good, doesn't teach well, that's why they did not do well in their exams. Well, sometimes the unfortunate, honest, brutal truth is, even if they had the best teacher in the world, they will still not do well, because they themselves are the ones that are not willing to study, and they are the ones that are incompetent. But these students, they do not want to accept their incompetence or their inability to do well, and they project it onto someone else, and in this case, it's the teacher. Another example that we can use to explain how blame can be used as a form of projection is, imagine a customer at a fast food restaurant knocking off an entire tray of drinks and fries. He was the careless one, but he will blame it on the cashier and say, "Why are you so careless?" So just to reinforce the concept of projection, when a person uses projection, they may actually be projecting their beliefs of themselves onto others because they do not want to acknowledge these personal weaknesses in themselves. Of course, we can also project our desires and fears onto others as well. We definitely have heard of parents who project their own inner desires of becoming a doctor or becoming a lawyer onto their children.
One day you will have to answer to the children of the sky.
And when it comes to the breaking point where the child cannot handle it anymore, the parent may say, "But you are the one who want to be a doctor." So in a couple, a boyfriend or girlfriend might also project their innermost desires onto their partner. And they will say, "But you are the one who wanted this." When initially, they were the one who made their partner want this. So we are also equally likely to project our fear of isolation or fear of loneliness onto someone. This means that if we are afraid of being lonely, we might more often or not assume that other people are also afraid of being lonely, and because of that, we tend to always want to look for a person, and when the person asks you, "Why are you always looking for me?" you say, "Because I'm afraid you are lonely." That is a form of projection. Another way in which human beings use projection is when we project our negative thoughts and behaviors onto others as well. So an unfaithful husband may also start to suspect that his wife is unfaithful. A more common example is if you do not like someone in a particular group, then you would say that the person doesn't like you. So you are projecting your dislike for a particular person, saying that the person dislikes you first. All this projection happens because we are trying to defend our own ego. It happens unconsciously or without our conscious awareness. So as I am narrating this, are you already feeling that projection is something that you can see very commonly in the world around you? Now let's imagine a person who always talks and dominates an entire group discussion, and when another person tries to interrupt, he says, "Why are you so attention grabbing? I have not even finished." Then this particular person who is dominating the entire conversation is obviously projecting his own need for attention seeking onto others. And when he says such things, definitely the people in the group will like, "What?" If your intentions are very obvious, then people around you may find you a hypocrite. However, if you are talking in a group and a person interrupts you and you are irritated by that and you tell the person, "Let me finish speaking first," this does not mean that you are the one who is attention seeking.
You just want attention. You don't want my heart.
You will never know because most people who use projection do not even know that they are projecting. Why? Because it is an unconscious process. However, I have two types of people that may be more prone to using projection than others. They are, so people in group number 1 who are more prone to using projection than others are people who do not know themselves very well, even though they might think they really know themselves. Group number 2. So the second group of people who may be more prone to using projection more than others are those who may be having a lower self-esteem and those who have a inferiority complex. And those who have an inferiority complex. So psychologists generally agree that the overuse of any form of defense mechanism is an unhealthy reflection of your own mental and emotional state. So hopefully after watching this video, you can pay more attention to yourself and the people around you, especially children. Because children usually have not developed strategies to cope with the outside world well enough yet, and they might be more prone to using defense mechanisms as well. Well, I hope that this episode has given you a lot of insight into how human beings cope with their inner weakness and emotions. In our upcoming videos, we will be showcasing more defense mechanisms. Do watch out for that. And if you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing. We are a channel that is dedicated to producing videos like this one that you see. So do let us add more value to your life. Okay, I'm going to sign off now and I'll see you in our next episode. Goodbye.